So back to, I want to go back to the interview we had. Another thing that came out in that interview, right? I remember in the interview that we had with you, Range, it was one thing that you had said that you emphasized that made sense to me. It came across to me because you said it once, but it kind of hit me. And he said, you were saying like, these things are for my entertainment. And he emphasized, this is for my entertainment, right? Meaning you know the difference between what this music is and what I do with it, right? And that hit me hard because, you know, there's so many people out here that engulf themselves in music. Like they are, you know, I was that kid that took music and it taught me a lot, you know what I'm saying, in my youth. You know, Jay-Z was like my uncle, you know, Nas is like my big brother almost, you know what I mean, like, you know what I'm saying, because I can relate to him a lot. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of kids out there who at that time, like me, I didn't have a good father figure, you know what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. I didn't, you know, he was there. I'd be candid with you, I wish he had left. You know what I'm saying? That was just my vibe at the time, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I would put my headphones on and I was gone. I was in the music world. But see, in this day, oh, for sure. That's why I am the way I am right now with music. But right now, see, when I was coming up, there was a balance, and I understood that balance. I understood that I was able to take apart the music. Jay-Z taught me a hustler's mentality, how to, you know, how important it was to not make excuses, to get money,
right,
in a way where, you know, you don't just, like I said, just not making excuses. Nas taught me to always be knowledgeable about who I was, what's around me. You know, be careful about what's around you. But he did it in storytelling. He did stories and stuff like that. I was able to see through all of the drug talk and all. I was able to pick it apart. So there was balance. You know, then I had my KRS-Ones, I had my Public Enemies. I had a lot of people that I could, you know, go to if that wasn't working. But now these kids don't have that, man. So and I understand, you know, they put them headphones on, man, and they made it, and they make it headphones, but it goes in the ear for real now. Like it's like, you know, it ain't even covering. That thing is in your brain.
Yeah. Try to get as close to it as much as possible.
Right. I really need you to hear this. Let me make them a little smaller and just make it in your eardrum. You understand what I'm saying? But now it's very tough in your position, Range, that is trying to educate people, right, to combat that, because it's constantly Zanny talk, it's constant, you know, drug talk, and it's constant stick talk. You know what I'm saying? Gun talk. When I talk about the current, I know you haven't been on current things, but I'm sure that you know of what the current things do. Give me some random thoughts about what your thought is about what's going on right now, especially, you know, being from the South. Like, what's your thoughts about that?
With the music?
Yeah.
It's very unfortunate because we have a generation. Okay, what they call again? Gen X?
Right, I think they're called Gen X. Yeah. No. Generation Z.
It's Gen X something. Yeah, because I'm losing.
Hey, but y'all peep how they put everything. Once again, we putting everything in the box.
Right.
You see
So
how they do that?
you got it. All right. So this is how I look at it. Right. I'm still young compared to a lot of my peers. Right. I'm 33. So I'm on the tail end, I'm on the tail end of growing up, not having access to mobile devices. Right. Pretty much the children behind me, they had mobile devices when they were 2-3 years old. You know what I'm saying? Right? iPhone, the smartphone first dropped. I think I was in, what was it, 05, 06, somewhere around there, right? So just think about there you go. Think about the children, small children.
07 tough, right?
Yeah, that they grew up with these devices, right? So what does that mean? All right, so going back to the 90s, right? I can just like Tino, I can relate to artists who I pick from. Primarily Southern artists, right? Goody Mob, Outkast, got a few other artists in there, you know, had to represent for Ohio with Bone Thugs and Listen to Pac, and you know, so that was the rap and hip hop. And then of course, me growing up in the church, I had my Kirk Franklin, my Fred Hammond, you know what I'm saying, my gospel Christian, right? So but present day, okay, reason why I'm giving that background, because the music, as far as the culture, the hip hop culture, started to change drastically as far as the toxicity level. Okay, now in the early 90s, the gang music was pretty heavy. Ain't no denying that, right? Especially on the West Coast. You know what I'm saying? It was real heavy, but it was contained. Okay, now it's not so contained, right? You got a lot of these young cats that has grew up with these smartphones and had grew up with YouTube and just way more exposure to wickedness, evil, toxicity, right? It's rewired them to where they stand on no code, right? Unfortunately, my family, we have witnessed just recently a horrible tragedy, and it gives me an example it's present day to speak on it, because the lowlife who committed the crime, you can only think that back in the day there used to be a code, right? If you was in a gang, it was no beefing with no regular civilian or with a woman or with a child. You stood on a code, you know what I'm saying? Right? Nowadays, it's like that's out the window. Why is that? So a lot of people, especially a lot of artists in the hip hop community, right? They say the music, like Travis Scott, a whole bunch of artists, they say the music doesn't wire the children or the young people, but it does. And they know that, right? When you heard Cardi B, when she put out that track with
Megan?
Megan Thee Stallion.
Yeah, with Megan. I couldn't even think of her name. Yeah, with Megan. She was like, that ain't, this for adult entertainment, which, I mean, she's right? But just think about how freely a lot of these songs are playing on the radio now. And again, you had some heavy songs that played on the radio back when we was children. You know what I'm saying? But it's completely different now, right? And so, and Hashatan, Satan, the devil, he knows this, right? Guess who he was when he was in the heavens before he was kicked out of heaven? Music. He was a god of music. So that's his thing. As time has pressed on, it has gotten worse. The frequencies have dropped even more, right? So if you look at the chart of frequencies and what have you, a lot of the music is depressing. It don't matter the genre. A lot of the music across a lot of genres is depressing. It's sad. It's everything negative. It's dark, Right. So you take that, you got the music, add in TV shows, movies, news. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you got to sprinkle some Xannies on there though.
Oh, come on, man. You feel me?
Yes. Right.
So you literally dealing with people who borderline soulless. They got a serious and I say borderline because as long as they got breath in their body, they still can have an opportunity to repent and turn away from their sins. However, we also know Messiah taught us in Matthew that he said, hey, you got the lambs and you got the goats, right?
Right.
You feel me? So if you want to go with the side of the goats, right? Hey, they only destination is that lake of fire. Because what's the motive? What's the one all catchphrase? Do as thou wilt, right?
Right.
The Satanist, I forget his name, that pretty much laid that out, right? So
Aleister Crowley.
Crowley. So, yeah.
Boom. Y'all on it, man. Shoot, man. Y'all on it. So I mean, come on. So that's what we have present day, right? And so going back what you said, yes, it makes it more difficult to reach people, but what I see as the connector is the testimonies, right? So if I I ain't in the streets, I'm way displaced from the streets, right? But I still have an understanding of how things going on nowadays. You know what I'm saying? I still get talk with young cats if I come across somebody, right? And it's what the testimonies that we've been blessed with is what truly lead people, right? Because once, just like you said earlier in the recording on the show, whenever a person can relate and they know you're relatable, guess what? They let their guard down a little bit more. Now they can, okay, I'm gonna listen to what you have to say because you understand what I'm going through, or you ain't trying to come beat me in the head with a Bible, come preach to me. You ain't trying to come suited up and talk to me. You coming to me like you an OG. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's you know, it's relatable, right? But like we know, you catch them one at a time. You feel me? You can't. It's hard to throw your pearls amongst all the swine. It's gonna be it's almost impossible. You got to catch them one at a time, man. So that's a long explanation as far as the music, but to sum it up, it's unfortunately when I step away from my music that I listen to and I listen to some of the secular music that's, oh my goodness, bro. Maybe I've gotten too sensitive to a lot of it, man, but I'm just like, there's no way we got young people like really taking this in and vibing this. You know what I'm saying? Like, half the lyrics I don't understand. I said, man, I know I'm not that old. Like I just know I'm not that old.
Nah, man. You know, I forgot who said this, but you know, like even in the early let's say trap, or not early, but like all right, let's think about and listen, people in Houston say this is not true, right? But it was a thing where they said, you know what, to listen to Chopper and Screw, you had to drink, you know, lean. That's what they said. Some Houston said, nah, it's not true. Which I mean, I can't sit down and listen to Chopper and Screw all day. And maybe because I'm from New York, but that's just you know,
got to be in a vibe for it. My opinion. Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm saying. What is the vibe though? What is that vibe though? It got to be lean.
You got to be leaning hard.
Right. That's what I'm saying. But I think that's where I think it's the same situation with the music of today. You got to be on some type of perk or you know, or
Alter
something
state.
Exactly to really get into it. Right. You know, I'm a fan of real music.
Yes.
You know, I don't care. Like I like Lil Baby, right? Because I know it comes from a lot of the music that he had came from an honest place. You know, right. And I'll always respect and relate to anybody who's honest. You know, because you know that's your truth. Right. So I'm not going to disrespect it, but I'm really curious about what Walt has to say about this, because Walt is the youngest on here, right? but he got an old soul as well. So I don't know how this is gonna go. But what do you say? What do you say that this is your generation? Really, honestly.
Well, I'm 30, freshly 30, but still 30. But I mean, I kind of look at it like, I was gonna ask D Reigns this question, like, do you feel like we've gotten to the point where when it comes to music, it has to be depressing for us to consider it to be real, or it has to be, you know, it has to be negative. That's the word I'm looking for. It has to be more negative for us, for most of us to for real vibe with it. I've seen it, like straight up seen it. Like some people really won't vibe with a song unless it has a curse word. Like some people won't vibe with a song unless it has some violence and some stuff in it. And you know, I seen it, and I can't even front, like I haven't felt that same vibration. So like when it comes to listening to modern music now, I can't lie, I really don't listen to that much of it. I do have my favorite artists. Like I'm not gonna sit in front like it.
Right.
Or drop something, I'm gonna listen to something. But you know, if it is someone like Lil Baby, like I'm kind of on Latino, I feel like he's immensely talented. But at the same time, when I'm listening to it, I'm like, man, like this just, I just can't get with it. Like I know if I put myself in it too much, then I know I'm going to become a product of that in some way, shape, or form. It'll reflect in some of the things that I do and how I go about things.
Correct.
When I look at like how powerful music is, and you can just look at hip hop. It's not no accident that hip hop is the most influential thing in the world. Like it's not by accident that it is like it's a black thing. You know, we know that it's a very black thing. Even R&B is a black thing. Rock and roll is a black thing. Music, how much it controls and how much it vibes with is very much a thing. So when I look at the way it's going, I just look at it like, all right, like how do we get that good message still to get that relate so people can relate? And I think what you said was perfect. Like I think pain is something that escapes no one. You are always gonna, I don't care who you are, you're gonna go through your trials and tribulations. You're gonna go through pain in life. You're going to experience things. And when you hear somebody who is similar to you and has gone through some of those similar things, and you see where they at right now, you're like, okay, yeah, that's something I can aspire to be. But how do you got to convince them dudes to be like, all right, now how do I advance it? How do I take that next step into turning music into, instead of it just being this negative thing that people relate to and then they kind of try to take from, now what do I do with the actual product to make it something that people listen to? And it's like, okay, this is clearly telling me to do the right thing. This is clearly telling me to build my community. This is clearly telling me to help people. This is clearly telling me to be peaceful. This is clearly telling me to do that. And I feel like we are starting, some of the artists are kind of doing that. And, you know, I feel like we're kind of getting there, but, you know, so I feel like that's a big change that even our people look at it as that's not familiar. That's not something that we're trying to do, or that's or that's not gonna work. That's foolish.
Right.
So trying to get us to understand that is kind of where I feel like where we at right now.
Daddy.
I fear no man, just God. But if
was God that gave me these bars.
My pen is the paintbrush, notepad the easel. Been painting with a twist before, sipping with my people. Stacking lines, equal sign, this verse is the prequel to the man you hear before you flowing through your speakers. Hempstead Nights, silky slim with the pearly whites. Earned the rent being smooth with the ladies. Plus could fight, kept the knife in his inside coat pocket. 22 strap on his ankle as another option. Protege of Chocolate Tay and OG from around the way. Used to run numbers and push yay, no Yeezy.
Subscribe for the very latest.